If Kaido never fell from the sky in front of Kid's alliance, do you think they would have went on and actually been able to take out Shanks? Like, Apu only flipped in that moment because he was actually working with Kaido, and then Hawkins only bent the knee because he's like, I don't think I could fight that dude if it's just the two of us. But since these dudes were in alliance before Luffy and Law were even in alliance, if they continued on past this point without Kaido's interference, what would have happened and would they have been able to take out Shanks? For starters, do these three people combined even have the capability of doing so? And honestly, I do think these three have a chance of beating Shanks. When it comes for Kid, we know that he has more than enough strength to hurt people like Shanks. If he can break the bones of somebody like Big Mom, then he will absolutely kill Shanks should he get a hit in. Because when it comes to durability, he is clearly not on the level of characters like Big Mom and Kaido. Those are raid bosses. They are not normal people. A fish did take this guy's arm, whether you guys said he did it on purpose or not. And when we look at the other characters, they got some stuff in their back pocket that can hurt Shanks too. Keep in mind, due to Hawkins' ability, he can take on people that are way out of his pay grade like Law. All it takes is for me to put some of your crew members underneath my straw dog technique, and then all of a sudden you can't hurt us without killing your own people, which helps us. And Law is not a slow person, so the fact that Hawkins was able to pull this off shows me that he is pretty smart and he is conniving enough to make it happen against someone like Shanks. Especially when you got this dude who's like the king of distractions on your team too. Keep in mind, when it comes to Apu, he is an absolute menace, and menace in the literal sense of the word. He is skilled enough in combat to fight X-Drake and Zoro at the same time and maneuver pretty well. His durability is also pretty dang good that Zoro can hit lion songs on him and he just gets back up later. And not even 30 minutes before that, he was getting punked Gibson to the face by Kid. And to top it all off, he is actually really lethal with his devil fruit, and there's no real way to avoid it. With the only way of doing so is to literally cover your ears, which I am so serious by saying this, Shanks cannot do. Meaning in a situation where he has to fight the three of them, he has to go for Apu first, not Kid. But slight manga spoiler in 3, 2, but we do know from Shanks with his haki, he understands that Kid is a monumental threat that needs to be taken down before he makes his attacks. Which now gives Shanks 2 high priority targets because he cannot go for Kid if Apu was blowing his head out from the side. And then because of Hawkins' ability, no matter who you pick, you probably are going to hit them, waste your time because he straw dogged them to somebody else. And just because he did this to Law's crew does not mean he needs to do it to Shanks' crew. Shanks' crew is very stacked and very competent. I don't really think he'd be able to pull one over to, do however his straw dog works to those people. But he's a pirate. He ain't no saint. He will do this to civilians if it means that they could take down Shanks. He literally does it to his own crew members. I know he'll do it to civilians. Meaning Shanks can't stop situations like this from happening. Shanks can't stop Apu from attacking him from every single direction at once. Because as long as Apu is still standing, Shanks is getting auto hit by every attack he throws out. And he is not built like Kaido or Big Mom. So as a 3-piece little unit, I do think they have more than enough in their kit to take Shanks down. But taking out Shanks and his crew, that's a completely different story. Because if you were to ask me, can Kid and his alliance take down Shanks with the crew? No, that's dead in the water. However, without the Kaido intervention, I do think their alliance would have gotten to the point where they would have been able to kill Shanks and this entire crew. And the only thing they would have added to that alliance would have been Marshall D. Teach. Because even though this dude is an emperor, he is also part of the same generation of Kid. Not to mention he has worked with other worst generation members in the past. And when you add on top of that the fact that he was already looking to take down Shanks at some point in the future anyway, and judging by him saying it was too early to fight you back when he said it, I'm pretty sure that just means he's waiting to get strong enough to do so. And for Blackbeard, I would think him teaming up with Kid's alliance would be him getting that power to do so. Keep in mind everything I was saying earlier that was going to make Shanks fighting these guys already difficult. Now just add Blackbeard and all of his level 6 impelled down commanders into the mix. For a little razzle dazzle, let's just sprinkle an admiral on top too. And now the question becomes, can Kid and this new alliance take on Shanks and his crew? And I would say undoubtedly, Shanks and his crew are dying on this day. Never mind the fact that everybody in his crew already got way stronger. But when they fight, Shanks will not be prepared for what it is Kid now can do. Because we learned during Wano when they were fighting Big Mom that they had this conversation about powers being awakened in the past. This is a flashback. And they both were saying that they've been had their awakenings, they're just hard to use in battle. So this was Kid's debut to using his awakening in combat. Meaning instead of Kid pulling out this stuff that no one's ever seen before versus Big Mom, he'll be pulling it out versus Shanks. And there is a scene before Shanks goes to fight Kid where he's asking for like information on his pirates. This is where Shanks is learning that Kid has left Wano, his wounds are healed up, all this information. So if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if he had information now that Kid is awakened, but this would not be information that he would have if he was fighting Kid's alliance plus Blackbeard. The utility to take somebody as fast as Shanks and stick them permanently somewhere is like mind-bogglingly broken, especially when you're fighting Blackbeard. Kid can either make it so that Shanks can't move so that he can't avoid getting hit by Blackbeard, or Blackbeard could use his dark hole to make it so that Shanks has limited movement so he can't do anything about the damn laser. And while I know Blackbeard's not like the most trustworthy person, so like how do we know he wouldn't betray Kid or something? Do keep in mind, after he teamed up with Law and like had the entire Rocky Port incident, Law's still on the seas, like doing his own thing as the Heart Pirates. Blackbeard didn't take the alliance that they had and then say, well, now you gotta work for me. No, they were done, and then he was able to go about and do his own thing. There's no reason to believe that he wouldn't do the exact same thing with Kid, especially since if you take down an emperor, he's definitely gonna fill that vacuum now. And in the moment that Kid and his alliance becomes like this new emperor status, because Kid by himself can't acquire that. But I think Kid plus all these guys combined do have that force after they take down Shanks. First commander being Killer, second commander being Apu because that boy is really strong, and then the third one would be Hawkins. But in a world where Kid accidentally like speed runs Blackbeard's plans by getting rid of his biggest enemy, the world might end up falling sooner than later. Luffy definitely wouldn't have awakened by then, so unintentionally we should be thanking Kaido because he kinda saved the world.